Alright, what's up guys? Luthier here, and I know it's been a really long time since I've uploaded a video. I know I promised I would do so for SPL, but then I got really busy with school, and then I just got really busy in general, and I wasn't able to upload, so I'm sorry for that, but because I wasn't able to upload for SPL, and I finally got a bit of time on my hands, while I'm stuck at home, I wanted to do a little something for you guys, especially because LCPL and LC Open is coming up soon, which is like the biggest tournaments in terms of LC for like the masses. So for that reason, I'm going to be starting this new series called Luthier's LC Lessons, or Little Cup Lessons, or whatever you want to call it. And it's just going to be a breakdown of every single component that I find crucial to learning LC. So that's going to be, it'll be listed in the description, but that's going to be talking about, basically, today we're going to be talking about metagame analysis and trends and discussion in general. And then we're going to move on to team building, and then we're going to be doing more stuff along the lines, which is like specified along the lines of turn 1 selections, end game criteria, being able to be flexible with the game plan, making a game plan, and then replay analysis will be the final thing we do. And I believe that the most experience and knowledge comes out of replay analysis. But that being said, we're going to be discussing we're going to be talking about metagame discussion today. And as you can see, what I did is I just took every single mon that I found viable in LC at the moment, at least, and then tried to make a different set. So I try to take each mon and then try to find all the sets that I found viable and useful. And here you can see, like, we have a bunch for every single mon. And after making this, I thought I was going to be able to wrap this up in like an hour after I started originally, but like now looking at it, I don't know if I can, because I want to go very in depth. Like, the goal of the series is once you finish it, and if you understand everything I'm trying to lay down, then you should be better than the average LCPL player. And if that is being said, then you should also have the skills to win LC Open. That is my goal for those of you watching. Special shoutouts to Jake and Baby Boy Blues. I made this literally like 5 minutes ago, and then I sent it to them, and they proofread everything for the most part, so just thank you for that. So yeah, so as I was saying, I don't think I'll be able to get through everything in this one video, so what I'll probably do is make a second video and then upload that as well, so it can be divided into part 1 and part 2. It just makes more sense that way. Instead of having like a 5-hour long video, in which, okay, it probably won't be 5 hours long, but just a bunch of like mumbling for me, and you probably don't want to sit through all that. So I'll just break it down into a couple of videos. We'll try to get through half of it in this one video. But yeah, so that is the series I'm going to be starting. I want to be uploading once or twice every week, depending on how much people actually want this. I'm going to be completing it regardless, but if the viewers of this actually like it a lot, then I'll probably be going up to twice a week, just so you guys can work and learn from the videos. So yeah, without further ado, let's just go right ahead. And this is all alphabetical, so there's really not much to it. But anyways, so we're going to start off with the first mon that I found viable, which is Bulbasaur. So, as you can see, we have 2 sets here, but the Bulbasaur emerged pretty recently from meta trends. It was released in the download, the DLC. I think it was like a month and a half ago. But when it was released, it was a very good setter, or not setter, but it was a very good sun abuser, especially because Cherubi got banned very early on, and so did Vulpix. But at the time that it was released, no one thought it would be any good, especially because Vulpix got banned. But I found that in one of my favorite teams that Bulbasaur is actually very strong. But the 2 sets that it basically runs is, it has variation obviously between each set, but like looking into the self-setter, this is going to be like a more self-sufficient kind of late game sweeper, something that isn't necessarily geared around a Sun team. This could be just like slapped on as like your special threat, especially if someone likes to bring those like very annoying, like Pharisee, Spritzy type cores, this actually just like demolishes through them. It's very good at what it does. It's just like the problem that its bulk is so awful. And as you can see on the spread here, like pre-Cutify ban, I would always be running Modest, or I'd be always running Timid, because 15 speed under webs in the sun hits 20, which outspeeds opposing Cutify, which you really don't want to be messing with like Life Orb Psychic and whatnot. So that's why I wanted to be running 15 speed. But now that Cutify is gone, 14 speed is fine. I think it's still annoying because if they do get webs up by like means of Dupiter or whatnot, then you are outsped by things like Wingull, I guess, like Wingull and like Diglett. But other than that, you don't really have any sort of worry regarding speed. So I think that Modest is better because it also does provide you nice rolls. But yeah, that's essentially what you want to be running for the self setter. You want to also be running Solar Beam over something like Giga Drain, because, or Giga Drain or Energy Ball, because, I mean, obviously you want to be running this over Energy Ball because you have Sunny Day, so it's a one-turn setup into hit. But with Giga Drain, you don't need survivability on this Bulbasaur. Your goal is to just set up and just like destroy everything. The only issue with this Bulbasaur, as I just talked about a little earlier, is the fact that it's really frail. And it's like defensive typing is okay. It's like not bad, but like Bunnelby is going to be able to survive like every single hit from full. Even after Rock, it's going to be able to survive from full. So that's why it's like this set is okay. It's not that great, but it can destroy cores if you get the matchup right. But personally, my preference is to run the Helped setter, or Helped Sun Abuser. Okay, whatever. The idea is that you are going to be running a Sun team, and I use this in in the semis versus Shrug, so you can take a look at that team if you would like. But it didn't matter. But the point is, the game, it was geared around a Sun team. So the team I brought was like Diglett with Heat Rock, and then like a Ponyta with Sunny Day, and this Bulbasaur is going to be able to abuse that Sun. And the good thing about the Helped Sun set is that it can afford to run Growth, since you're not using that slot to run Sunny Day, and as a result you get the +2 in the Sun, because Growth actually gives you +2 attack, +2 special attack in the Sun, and as a result you can afford to run things like Giga Drain to provide that extra stability and survivability. And something very important to note with these calcs is that when Weather Ball is in Sun, the base power is 100, whereas Sludge Bomb's base power is 90, and even though Sludge Bomb gives you the stab for Bulbasaur, the Weather Ball gives you 1.5 damage increase as well with the Sun. So for that reason, Weather Ball is actually stronger than Sludge Bomb in Sun against a regular effective typing. So if you do the calcs, interestingly enough, +2 Weather Ball is going to be able to knock out Bunnelby, like a regular Bunnelby from full, which is ridiculous because it just has so much power. And that's when I was running Timid, when I had that, like, when I was forced to run Timid. But if you were running Modest, I think the rolls are definitely in your favor. I'm not sure if it kills Bunnelby from full guaranteed, but I know for a fact after Rocks it does, which is really important to note. There's not much else to say. Like, everything is very, like, fairly standard. The Weather Ball is great just for, like, dropping just like a buttload of damage, and then it also is able to deal with the Pharisee, which is generally a decent check from Bulbasaur outside of Sun. But yeah, that's basically all there is to Bulbasaur. It's just going to be a Sun Abuser, and it will... Sometimes you'll see on the self-setter that it can run Life Orb, but I personally don't like that at all, because it's already frail as it is, and you need the Life Orb, or you need the Violet to be able to set up and live at like a decent HP, or else like you just die from like a knock into like any sort of like decent priority move, like First Impression or like Quick Attack or Sucker Punch and whatnot. So for that reason, these are the two sets that I find viable on Bulbasaur, but especially the second one, I think it's actually very, very potent. and something to look out for. So that's going to be Bulbasaur. And next we have the Bunnelby. So Bunnelby, it's a very different mon compared to what it was in SM because of the loss of return. So without it having return, it is like ridiculously weak now in comparison. But that being said, it still has like a 26 base stat or attack for because of its ability with huge power. So it's still dishing out like a lot of damage. And there's this one team that Pablo used for SPL. It was a webs team and it had Bunnelby on it and it was Swords Dance. Now I took this set from him, but it also can be tailored in any way you really want. 60 speed is good because plus you, like once you're able to set up with SD, you're going to be able to speed tie and max speed Bunnelby, which is like not that common, even though I believe it should be. The SD into strength is going to be able to just like nuke everything in the tier. You could also be running Life Orb on Bunnelby without like Swords Dance. If you're running Life Orb, just don't run Swords Dance because you have like zero availability to set up like ever. And in addition, like you already have like the power that you need, so you don't really need to be running Swords Dance and Life Orb. You just want to be running like one or the other. So I'm running this Violet set, which gives it the bulk it needs, and then Swords Dance, Strength, Brick Break, and Earthquake. I think it's like it's like self-explanatory as to what it's for. You could actually cut Earthquake and put Quick Attack. Brick Break is going to be able to hit Ferocity and Ponder, which are going to be your main ways of trying to deal with Bunnelby. There's also like obviously the sense of outspeeding, but like most of the mons that outspeed Bunnelby, which are going to be like your 19 speeders and 20 speeders, they just like drop to like a +2 quick attack anyway. So if you want to just run quick attack over Earthquake, that also provides good benefits from that. But the Bunnelby is like fairly self-explanatory. It's just a glass cannon. So it's up to you how you want to abuse its set. But it can also run Adamant just for rolls. Although you're then speed tying with like Adamant Bunnelby, which is something you don't really like, especially because you usually want to be running Bunnelby on something like webs, not especially because once it's on webs, you're gonna be able to outspeed most of the meta, and you don't really have to worry about much. The thing is with Q-Fly gone, that this set becomes significantly worse because you don't have ways to set up webs as efficiently and as effectively as Q-Fly. And we'll get into that when we're talking about Dupiter. But, yeah, this set is okay. It's just so weak, and with so much Poniard and Timber running around right now, it's just not that great, especially because their forms of priority just, like, hit the Bunnelby pretty hard. So, it's an okay set. I wouldn't really advise using it unless you're, like, trying to counter team someone who brings no normal resist. I mean, obviously the Earthquake hits like Onyx, but so does a Brick Break, and it's up to like rolls on how you want to decide between Jolly and Adamant. So that's gonna be a Bunnelby, and then we can move on to the next mon, which is Charmander. Now, Charmander is a very niche Pokemon. I think it's absolutely awful now, but it was made popular. Well, not popular, but it was used by Serene Grace in SPL against Pablo, and he made this Sun team, which was geared around like Vulpix, which currently is banned, and I don't see it be unbanned anytime soon, but it was geared around a Vulpix and then just dropping nukes with Charmander and Solar Power. And the thing with this set is that Fire Blast was actually going to be able to 2-hit KO Mareanie. I don't remember if it's after Rocks or before Rocks, but it just 2-hit KO'd Mareanie from full after Rocks, 100%. And the varied like fire moves you have here is just like on how you want to risk accuracy and whatnot. So like if you look at like the special moves that Charmander has for access, it's literally just like Dragon Pulse and like a bunch of fire moves, and then like yeah, that's it. Like and like Swift or something. I think it gets Swift. Does it? Yeah, so it gets Swift. So the point is, like, it just gets a bunch of fire moves, a dragon move, and, like, a normal move. So, like, you're not really clicking those normal / dragon moves ever. You're just going to be taking that, like, the fire moves and just, like, throwing them off, especially because you're going to be trying to abuse this when it's in Sun. So for that reason, like, you have like 3 fire moves. You have like the flamethrower, which you want to be using outside of sun. The fire blast is when you really want to nuke the Marini, and then the weather ball is when you want the stability in sun with accuracy. So those are gonna be the 3 moves right there. And the sleep talk, again, slightly more niched, but like it's gonna be when you want to switch into like an oddish sleep powder, and then like start throwing off hits at like while you're sleeping, which is like, I don't know, like you can't really find like a much better move to run in place of sleep talk. So like this set is fine, but like I think this set is garbage now. You have no stability with sun. Like the thing with the Vulpix is it was able to set up sun while providing offensive pressure. For other sun teams, you just can't be that frail anymore, because you're not going to get opportunities to switch in the Charmander where you will with things like Bulbasaur and whatnot. So for that reason, I'm not a fan of this set that much. Like it was decent. It was like partially viable back in the Vulpix meta, but just like not anymore. So yeah, that's going to be Charmander, and then yeah, let's move on. And then we got the Chinchou. Now, you're going to look at this Chinchou set and be like, what? And I don't know how to describe this set to you, but like I'm personally not a fan of this set. This set is like totally garbage now. It was like viable back in the cutie meta, like the early Sword and Shield meta, but like now it's just garbage. It just like, it's so slow, it's so weak, and it doesn't even check Volby properly. It just gets knocked off with Berry Juice, and it's like so awful. But like I don't even have the spreads listed in here because it's just like you can custom tailor it to like how you really want, but I just don't see a real niche for it in the tier. Like you got Scald because it's defensive pivot, you just want to be burning random things. You got Volt Switch, you have Ice Beam for like Oddish and whatnot, and then you have Soak like for Pharaoh. Like it just gets so hard punished by Ferrothorn or Ferroseed, sorry, that it's just like, I don't know, it's just not a good mod. I just don't use it. I mean, there probably are situations in which it's okay, but like I just don't think it's good, and I don't think it should be used. Like if you're going for Chinchou as a bulky pivot, like it's so much better just to use things like a defensive like Volby or something, for example. Like there may be cases in which you need the specific typing, but I don't see many cases in which. But that being said, you always want to be running Volt Absorb over Water Absorb. Water Absorb is so bad. The thing with Volt Absorb is you're going to be able to prevent the Volt switching, although there isn't really a Magnemite in this meta, so maybe you could run Water Absorb, but like the idea is that you're already resisting water anyways, so like do you really need to absorb it? And I don't really think so. Like Volt Absorb is just like significantly better anyways, because it prevents volting around, and because volting like electric types are regular effective on Chinchou anyways, you want to have as much survivability as possible, especially because your only source of survivability is an item that can be knocked off. So Chinchou isn't that good, but it has certain niches, and I just really can't really think of them. I'm sure it could be used in team building, but I just would not use it. Just don't use it. Next mon we have is Corphish. Now, Corphish has been a very good mon since SM, but like it really had a rise in usage, especially during early SS, and it has died out recently. But I think it's still a pretty good mon. So just going over the 2 basic sets, we'll just start with the main one that everyone really uses, and I think you can vary this around. There's also a Life Orb variant, which I will talk about in a bit, but for this set, the idea is that you're going to be able to knock things off and then start throwing out stuff with Crabhammer. And the thing with adaptability is that it's just going to be super strong. It already has like a decently high attack stat as it is, and then that paired with knockoff into Crabhammer is just going to be able to throw out a lot of power, and then Aqua Jet is just there for priority. And the difference in sets comes from whether you want to be running Swords Dance or Dragon Dance. Now, Swords Dance, you're definitely going to be wanting to run Adamant, because that just changes roles like a lot. I can't really think of them off the top of my head. But alternatively, you could be running Dragon Dance. Now, if you're running Dragon Dance, you definitely want to be running the Jolly version, because Jolly Dragon Dance will get you to 21, which outspeeds the entire unboosted meta. And you'd rather have the unboosted meta just nailed down rather than not. Because if you're running 13, you only get up to 19, and then you're speed tying. At +1, you're only getting up to 19, and at that point, you're speed tying things like Wingull, and you just don't want to be doing that. So, for that reason, you want to be running the Jolly on the Dragon Dance if you decide to run that. So, that is going to be the Violet set. Another set you could be running for an attacker is Life Orb for attacks. I saw, can't put my, I don't know who exactly it was. I think it was Lily AC, but they were using a 4 attacks Life Orb Corphish set. I was running Knockoff, Crabhammer, Aqua Jet, and then Superpower. So Knockoff into Superpower is going to be able to just throw off Ferroseed, which is going to be the main Corphish attempt to check it. There's like Corphish, or there's like Ferroseed, and there's Marini, and then occasionally Shadowless, I guess. But those are going to be the main checks to Corphish. And the idea is that with running Life Orb Superpower, you're going to be able to get around most of those, which is nice. But yeah, so those are the 2 main sets you're going to see. And then there's like a very small set that I was theory mining around. Is it good? No. It's probably not that good. Although I really have not built a team with it, so I'm not 100% sure. But the idea is that it gets access to Switcheroo, which is kind of crazy. I know Shrug in SM was trying to work around like banded Corphish with Switcheroo. Not sure how that really worked out, but it just, you don't really need priority on this Corphish just because you're running the 14 speed. Because at 14 speed with Choice Card, again, you're going to be able to hit 21, so you don't really need priority for much. But yeah, I think it's self-explanatory what each move does. And the Switcheroo is just going to be able to cripple defenses. So if you can cripple a Marini, for example, then you can start trying to sweep with what could be, I don't know, like a Farfetch'D, for example. So the idea is that you're going to be able to take away an item and then choice lock the opposing defensive pivots, and then once that happens, you can try to start crippling their defense with your Corphish or another mod that has synergistic value with Corphish, which would be, for example, like a Farfetch'D. But yeah, so that's the idea behind this Corphish set. And trying to think what else to add. I mean, it's a good mod because water is like it's like a not bad typing offensively, especially currently. And access to knockoff and it is like really big in the meta. The only thing that really sucks about it is that it hits like 14 speed, which isn't too fast, but there's like a lot of speed struggle going around currently in the meta in that range, like between like the 13 to 15 range. There's just so much going on, and we'll explain that going forward when I talk about certain other mons that are involved in that struggle. But that's the one drawback about Corphish. But anyway, so that's going to be Corphish, and we're going to move on to Croagunk. Now, yeah, so Croagunk is a little bit of a doozy because, like, I personally do not think it's that good. However, when it has its moments, it just blows away its teams. It just, like, absolutely destroys them. Because if you have, like, for example, when people have their fighting checks solely being, like, Marini, like, Croagunk will just destroy those teams. Absolutely demolish those teams. And, the idea behind these sets is, like, they all have their own, like, obviously they have their own sets, but, like, they're very similar in what they do. Like, even between the Nasty Plots and the Mixed Attacker sets, like, they all do basically the same thing. Like, they come in on Marini, or they come in on, like, fighting types, and just, like, throw knockoffs or set up. And the idea, like, for example, the Nasty Plot set, there's, like, a very slow version, and there's a fast version. The 12 speed is there because you want to be able to outspeed Marini, and then Nasty Plot up, and then Sludge Bomb and whatnot. And then the fast plot is just there because you want to be able to just, like, outspeed things like Mudbray, because Mudbray generally runs 13 speed, and +2 Focus Blast, +2 Focus Blast is going to be able to knock it out. You could alternatively run Timid, which I've seen multiple times, and this way you're going to be able to tie with Adamant Bunnelby and whatnot. But, like, generally, the thing about Croagunk that stops it is it's just, like, it's like a slow fighter, and it's also able to get trapped, which is annoying, like, not only by Diglett, but also by Trapinch. But there's also the physical variants and the mixed variants, and there's really not much of a difference between all of them. Like this one, like the Nasty Plot's just set up on Marini, and the other one just knock Marini and start drain punching and then going shotting and whatnot. So like, there's not really much to say for Croagunk. It's a very matchup oriented mon. I don't think it's that good. The thing is, we saw a rise in Frillish, so people were actually dropping things like Focus Blast and running Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball. How good it is, I'm not sure, because I'm not really a fan of this set, and I don't really use it in tournament games and whatnot. But yeah, that's gonna be Croagunk. I would heavily suggest you to experiment with this. It probably would be very good in certain matchups, especially when there's like no Diglett and no Pony. But especially with the amount of Bunnelby that's running around right now and whatnot, I just don't think it's really that good. So that's going to be Croagunk. Yeah. And then next thing we have is Cufant. Is this mon good now? I really don't think so. Like, a lot of these sets were actually made back in the Cutiefly meta, and this mon was relatively okay in that meta because it had a distinct role of being able to switch into Cutiefly, like one of the very few mons that can switch into Cutiefly and then punish it with its like insane move pool. Like, it has a really crazy move pool, and then it also gets up rocks depending on what you want. So like, the first set we'll talk about is like this Rest Talk set, and I think there was this replay in Ekans where Serene Grace used this against, I can't remember, but he used it. I don't know if he built it or Starmaster built it, but basically I think it's self-explanatory what it does. It just sets up a bunch of iron defenses and then bypresses everything away. And the thing is, in that replay specifically, he was up against a Marini. So the Cufant was up against the Marini, and it beat the Marini 1v1 just because it could iron defense and then out boost with body press. So for those of you that don't know, body press is a fighting type move based on the defensive stat. And when you increase your defensive stat, such as what you can do with iron defense, you basically also increase the attack power from body press. So the goal is that you get up to +6 with iron defense and you just start throwing out a bunch of like super powerful fighting type moves. So especially with no real viable ghosts in the tier, other than like, at the time there was like a Ghastly, I guess, and like Frillish really didn't rise, but other than that, like at the time where it was decent, like you could run this set and it would be pretty good. And there's also the Scarf set. This is definitely like a Starmaster creation, Starmaster or TDK. I'm not 100% sure, but in SPL tests, TDK brought a team with this set in it, and I distinctly remember it. I don't know if 100% sure if this was the exact set. Like, we can just like review its move pool real quick. So it has like stab through Iron Head, and then also has Sheer Force, which is ridiculous because it gives it so much extra power. So it gets Sheer Force with Iron Head, and then it gets Play Rough for fighting types, so like things like Timber, he's gonna be able to Play Rough, and it gets Power Whip just to like deal with bulky waters, possibly like Corphish to revenge kill it, and there's also like the ability to one shot Onyx, and then also possibly deal with like Mudbrain and whatnot, and then there's Zen Headbutt, which also is for like fighting types. So like you could also be running things like Rock Slide, although I don't know how viable that would really be. Because you already have Play Rough to deal with Bunnelby. But Rock Slide also does get the Sheer Force boost, so that's something nice to know. Yeah, I don't really see other moves that could be great. I've also seen it run high horsepower. But the idea is that it just has an insane move pool, and then its speed hits 14, so once you're Scarf, you hit 21, and you're able to outspeed the entire unboosted meta, which we also saw with the Corphish set. But it's an okay mon, like this set. It can definitely have a surprise factor, depending on how you play it. I've never used a Cufant in my life before. I just don't think it's that amazing because it's just so slow, and it's really only there, was really only there for like fairies. But like now that Cutiefly is banned, the only fairy really left in existence is Spritzy. And this mon, I think, is outclassed by other defensive pivots, which we will talk about later. But anyways, yeah, so that's going to be the Scarf set. And then we have the Specialty Defense set, which, again, was strictly there for the Cutie Fly, but no longer exists in the tier. But I just thought I'd include this anyway because I remember some people running it. So it just ran Iron Head, Rock Slide, and then you could run whichever two filler moves you wanted. So you could run Power Whip for the grounds, you can run Brick Break for the Poniard and whatnot. So yeah, so those are going to be the moves that are the sets for Kufan. So not that great anymore, but had its time to shine already. Now, again, I want to cover this mon just because I'm trying to cover everything that I even deem marginally viable in LC. I was actually testing a webs team with Darumaka, and then I looked at its move pool, realized that it was ridiculous. It had a very, very nice move pool. It's just an all-out attacker, Darumaka, Galar, whatever. The idea is you get Hustle plus Life Orb, and then you're just able to, like, just do a lot of damage. You have Ice Punch for Vault, like, to stab, because you don't have much other stab. Like, Avalanche is kind of bleh. You really don't want to be using that. The strongest stab you do have is Ice Punch. And then you have Fire Punch to deal with just, like, Ferris Seed. I remember dropping it for something else. I don't remember. But then you could also run Superpower that's going to be able to hit things like Poniard and Ferris Seed again. I don't know if Fire Punch is going to be able to Oko all those mons. Don't remember. And then Zen Headbutt is there to catch the fighting types. I can't remember. I feel like I ran something over the Fire Punch. I think I actually ran Grass Knot as like a little fun thing I was doing. You could run Grass Knot to deal with Onyx, because I know that Fire Punch or Ice Punch does not kill Onyx from full. So what you could do is you could drop that defense, the defense stat you have here, and you can put it in special attack, and then instead of Jolly, you can just make it like I forgot that. You can just make it like Hasty, or is it Naive? Yeah, you can make it Hasty or Naive, and then what that does is that gives you enough of the special attack power that you need to deal with Onyx, and you're actually going to be able to Oko it from full. If I'm almost certain you're able to Oko it from full, or you like need it after rocks and you Oko it from full. So I'm not 100% sure, but I ran this on a web team, so it was actually not that bad. The downfall of this mon is that even with max speed and a plus speed nature, that you're only going to be able to hit 15. And the problem with that is you're outsped by like so much stuff. Like as I said, there's like a struggle between that 13 to like 15. I don't even think it's 15. I think it's like 13 to 16 range. There's just like so much of a struggle going around in the speed wars. So like being stuck max in the middle is just not a good feeling. So that's why you have to run it under webs, and even under webs is just really, really frail, especially because you need to run that life orb for the Okos on multiple mons. So it's just not that great of a mon. But if you're looking to have a little fun on like ladder or something, then I would heavily suggest you experimenting with this, because it could definitely throw you in for a loop and whatnot. So that's gonna be Darumaka, and then now we can move on to Dewbiter. Dewbiter is now the only viable web setter left in the game, especially because Cutiefly is gone. So we have 3 sets. The Scarf set is actually what Jake used in the finals of SPL. I know he said that he's been trying to bring it for a while in the season, and so was, ironically, Serena was also trying to bring it in the, earlier on in the season. But the idea is that because you hit 13 speed, you're going to be able to outspeed everything, barring like Wingull and Diglett. But like Wingull is just not that great of a mon, and you're not really worrying about it. But like Scarf Dewbiter, it's going to be able to catch a lot of things off guard, like Onyx, for example. So Scarf Dewbiter isn't really run. It's not like a really niche set, and even in like SM, where it was used marginally, it wasn't really run at all. Like the Scarf variant at least. So like for that reason, I think everything on here is like makes sense. You want Surf for the extra power, you want Scald for like the burn fishes, and you want Ice Beam to deal with stuff like Oddish and whatnot, and then you want Sticky Web that you can just lay up on a predicted switch. So that's going to be the Scarf set. It's very strong because of its access to the ability Water Bubble. Essentially all water moves are just like doubled in base power, so like even with like its special attack, which is kind of like low at 13, the Surf Surf's base power was like 180, so it's just it's like ridiculous. Water Ball is just like super strong, and if you've ever used Araquanid, you can attest to this because things like Liquidation just hit like a truck. So yeah, so that's going to be Dewpider is Scarf variant, and then you have the offensive and defensive variants of webs. There's not really much to change, especially except for like one move and then like some EVs. But idea is the same. You're going to be able to set up webs with Surf and Ice Beam for your coverage moves, and then you have Magic Room here. So what Magic Room is going to be able to do is going to be able to nullify all effects of the held item. So for example, the most common held item, or like the most busted held items in LC, are going to be like Berry Juice and a Violate. So if you're going to get rid of a Violate, then there goes your way of dealing with Dewpider. Like for example, if you like set up Magic Room somehow, like on a Spritzy, for example, you are able to throw off Surfs that are doing like 70%. It's just super strong, especially because the Violates can get removed. Now, how good is this? I'm not 100% sure. This is like something Strug has been experimenting around with. We'll have to see if it works out in the future. But it also is going to be able to get rid of Scarf. So under webs, if someone tries to revenge kill you with like, I have no idea, like a Scarf, I don't even know. Like anything with the Scarf line that's going to be able to outspeed will not be able to outspeed you if it is grounded to the web. So that's something cool to note. It also gets rid of like boots. So if you're running, I don't know, Jake was talking about like a Boots Dewpider, for example, right? And Magic Room goes up on the switch to your Dewpider, then your Dewpider's, or sorry, your Dweb. Oh my god, I've been saying Dewpider this entire time. Okay, so an example that Jake told me about was a Boots Dwebble. So if you get up Magic Room and they go to Dwebble with Boots on the sticky web, they're not going to be able to outspeed you, and you can revenge kill with like Surf, for example. So just like a very situational example. But the idea is that you're going to be able to get rid of their item effectively for like 5 turns. So that's going to be the uses of offensive, and like defensive has a very similar niche, except you're going to be running like max defense because this is essentially like a fighting check. And you're going to be running Scald instead of Ice Beam to fish for those burns, and then Magic Coat is going to be able to bounce back all non-damaging moves. So that's going to be stuff like Rocks, Spikes, Spores, well, not Spore, but like Sleep Powders and stuff like that. So you're going to be able to bounce those back, and that's the idea of Dewpider right there. Very, very restricted move pool because your special attacks really only are like Surf, Scald, and Ice Beam. But like, I've seen like a physical variant run, although it's like really not that good because you're starting to activate Bunnelby Weak Armor. You're also taking contact damage with Ferrothorn or Ferroseed, which I personally do not like. I've also seen people run Giga Drain over like Ice Beam to deal with like Onyx and whatnot. Do I like it? No, not really. Dewpider's pretty good though. Something ridiculous is like with this defense investment on the defensive webs variant, what you can do is Onyx will often like Rock Blast. I think it actually survives the Stone Edge too. I'm not 100% sure, but Onyx will Rock Blast you, and then even with like 5 hits, I don't even think it knocks you out. No, it definitely does. No, I think it does with 5 hits. I think 4 hits does not. No, 4 hits does not. Yeah. So that's just something to look out for. It's a surprisingly bulky mon. That is still able to throw off a truckload of hits. So that is going to be Dewpider. And we're going to be moving on to a mon that is going to require a lot of discussion. Now, I know my sets in terms of like EVs aren't that varied. Like for the Scarf set, you could be running more HP, and same for like the final gamuts on the Violet. But other than that, everything seems like fairly fine. But we'll just go from the top, and then we'll go down from there. But Diglett, LC's premier trapper and fastest mon in the tier, unboosted. It hits 20 speed and is able to outspeed everything in the tier. It is really good because it traps Poniard, Onyx. To a certain extent, it can trap. Not even trapping, it just also revenge kills. Which is great because like once you chip down something down to like half, more likely than not, if they have no priority, then Diglett will be able to deal with them. So on the Life Orb set, which is probably the most run right now, you're going to be running like Earthquake, Sucker Punch, Substitute, and like Rock Slide. The first 3 moves are like run on almost every single Diglett. The Substitute is going to be able to be there to outplay the Poniards. Sucker Punch games through that, and then you're gonna get a substitute on their Sucker Punch, and then you're gonna be able to revenge kill or trap the Poniard with Earthquake in the preceding turn. And then Rock Slide is just there to deal with Bunnelby. In SM, the primary set was actually Z Ground, where your Earthquake is going to be able to deal with like a lot of things through with that Z Ground. But now that Z moves are nuked, what we do have is Rock Slide, and Rock Slide is going to be able to give us that extra power to revenge kill Bunnelby just because we have the Life Orb. In SM, where we didn't really run that Life Orb set, you didn't really want to run Rock Slide. You ran beat up for like things like Abra and Gasoline and whatnot. But now that we don't have Z moves and can afford to run that Life Orb more, freely, we want to be running things like Rock Slide, or I know I've seen some people run like Memento. It just depends on whatever you want. And I've also seen people run like Cellrog and Toxic. So it's up to like the team on how weak you are to certain things that you can fit into that 4th slot. But ideally, those 3, the Earthquake, Sucker Punch, and Substitute is going to be fairly standard throughout the entire Life Orb set of Diglett. And then you have the Violite set, or the first variant, which is going to be the physical variant. Again, it's very, very straightforward. The thing is, like with the Violite set, you don't have to play any of the Sucker Punch mind games, and you can also afford to run things like Final Gambit. You don't even have to run Rock Slide anymore because it's weak. You can run Memento instead. This is good for like setup offense, like Shell Smashers and whatnot. So this is very good with that. And then you have the second variant, which is going to be the special variant. And now, I don't know if Lily is the one that invented this or it was Serene. Not 100% sure. But the idea is that you're going to be able to knock Marini with any one of your mons and then directly go into Diglett, like hard on Marini. And what you're going to be able to do there is you're not going to be able to risk your... No, what you're doing is you're not risking a burn on a Scald to predict you. And even if they do Scald, because you're a Violet, you live it, and then you're going to be able to revenge kill the Marini with Earth Power, because even if you get burnt, they should be knocked. And as a result, they're just going to drop from Earth Power. Sludge Bomb was there to deal with fairies, like Cutiefly and Spritzy, but now that Cutiefly is gone, Cutiefly is gone, you can really run whatever you want. You can run like Memento over that Sludge Bomb slot. It's just like variant depending on what the team needs, as I've said before. And then you got Toxic. Now this Toxic, it was again pretty situational, but it's going to be able to deal with like bulky pivots, such as like Spritzy and Shellos. By running the Sludge Bomb set or the Toxic set, you're going to be able to get you're going to be able to cripple them, put them on a timer, and then there start winning with other threats that like those mons gone, such as like a Farfetch'D or a Timber or like a Poniard. It just depends. Whichever one you're trying to make room for, you can kick off any of these slots, and then obviously you have Final Gambit, which is used to just like cripple things that you want to revenge kill. Like if you have like a Shellos that is like at 15 HP, you can just go into your Diglett and Final Gambit and then get rid of it without having to play around with its curses and amnesia. So that's going to be that for the second variant of Diglett, and then the third, the second variant of the Violet. And so the fourth set we have here is Scarf. A very distinct memory or replay that comes to mind when thinking about the set is Jake versus IFM for SPL. Jake was about to lose to like a agility rufflet, and IFM had like boosted up already and was gonna win the game, assuming he had everything. And then Jake had brought out this 30 speed Diglett and then revenge killed it with Rock Slide. So 30 speed Diglett, which is the choice Scarf on Diglett, is gonna be able to outspeed absolutely everything in the meta. It is super, super good. Because it actually outspeeds a lot of things even in Sun. So like that Bulbasaur I was talking about earlier running Timid, it hit 30. But if you ran Modest, it hits 28, and then Diglett outspeeds in Sun, and it's able to do a lot of damage. Probably does like around 50 or 60 to like Bulbasaur. So like the idea is that this mod just be able to surprise and stop a lot of setup sweepers. It has access to Final Gambit as well, and that's going to be able to just like do 17 HP of damage without being able to worry about rolls and whatnot. They have Rock Slide and then Memento. Again, Rock Slide is there for like birds, and then Memento is just there for a setup offense. So you can mix and match however you want, and then however you want. And then we have the hyper offensive lead. This was seen on a team that Jox made in SM, and I think it might have carried over to Sword and Shield. I'm not 100% sure. I really have not seen this mon used outside more than like once, like this specific set. But the idea is that you're going to be running Earthquake just as like your stab, and you have Stealth Rocks, and it's like a suicide lead. You get Stealth Rocks up in the new Memento, and then you just start like setting up with offense. So it's like an HO oriented lead. There are probably like some other better leads you could alternatively run like Drillbur. But if you're like if you need this specifically for like getting up rocks and then throwing off a Memento, then you might want to use this mon. It definitely has a very, very calculated niche. Would I use it? Not really. I personally think that Diglett's viability can be used alternatively. Like Life Orb and a Violet and Scarf sets are like so much better than this. But that being said, like if you need this specific lead, then just go for it. Yeah, that's basically Diglett. I can't really think. I don't think I can find any other sets that are of any use. Like I've seen balloon sets. I don't know if I like them a lot. If you are running that balloon set, you could just instead run like, I don't know, like a Trapinch. I think it's better if you're really trying to trap things like Onyx. You could go for a Trapinch, but we'll discuss that later. But yeah, so that's gonna be Diglett, one of the most versatile mons in the tier. But its goal is to just like trap stuff and just fire off hits. And then the next mon we will have is actually going to be a Drillbur. Now, so Drillbur is not really used as much anymore. Do I think it's good? I think it's really good. But its usage dropped a lot for some reason. In Ekans, though, there was a team that Trash had built that was geared around Life Orb Drillbur, and it was going to be like an SD, a Swords Dance offensive abuser. Instead of Swords Dance, you could alternatively also just run Protect, because just Life Orb is so strong as it is. But being a Sand Rusher, you can actually just run Adamant for this. Oops, not Bashful. You can run Adamant, and this is going to be able to just do a lot of damage to everything. Like, everything is 2-K'd by Life Orb Earthquake, especially because it has 19 attack. It also, I think it OHKOs Volby from full after rocks, with Rock Slide. So, Sand Rush, obviously, is there to abuse the sand, so the only really sand setter in, like, the tier is, like, Hippo. But once you're able to set up sand, this mod is just, like, a super big threat. Obviously, it gets super annoyed by Corphish, and like just mods with like very strong priority. But that being said, it's just very good for just like throwing off hits. So that's why you don't really need to SD. You can also run Protect to deal with like first impressions from Trapinch and whatnot. But yeah, so that's gonna be the Life Orb variant, and then you have the Rapid Spin variant, which is seen a lot more now. So I know these are the EVs that we have right now for the offensive variant. So I ran this in my Sand team for, not Sand team, sorry, my Sun's team for SPL, because it was just a good way to get off the webs while also providing offensive pressure. It even at +2, even though it's bulky, I think it beats Farfetch'D 1v1, because it like, assuming it's Giga Drain, because Giga Drain is used a lot more now. You can SD up on the switch into Farfetch'D, and then Earthquake will be able to 2-KO it even after the Giga Drain. So that's something really cool to know about Drillbur. It's just very strong, and it has that utility, especially with Rapid Spin and being like the only Rapid Spinner in the tier that's like any good. You're not really counting Shelter. But, yeah, there's, like, Drillbur, and then the hazard removal comes down with, like, Bunnelby. Other than that, there's no really good way of hazard control. So this has a very good niche in that sense. Yeah, so, it's fairly straightforward. It's also nice because this set, I'm pretty sure, lives a Scald from Marini from full. And so what you can do is you can just Swords Dance up, on the Marini, and then you can just start winning with Rapid Spin, because Rapid Spin actually does give you the +1 speed boost now. So it's nice because it gets to live a Scald from Marini from full. So back in the cutie meta, what you could do is you could try to spin you could spin your hazards away on the Marini, and then you would still be you would be at neutral speed at that point, and then you could start winning with Drillbur. But the idea is that it's just a very good Rapid Spin set, and it has like a added sense of bulk to it because it's decently bulky on its own, and then it has Berry Juice for that second life. So that, yeah, that's going to be Drillbur, and I think it's a very underrated mod right now. But yeah, so we're going to be moving on to Dwebble, and then we'll cover Dwebble, and then Farfetch, and then we'll cover the rest in, actually, no, we can go a little further. Actually, no, we'll just cover Farfetch, and then we can cover the rest in like a different video or like different parts. But we're gonna be talking about Dwebble, and Dwebble has like two very separate niches, and like outside of that, it just doesn't do anything at all. Like it has a hazard lead setter, which is gonna be usually able to get up at least 2 spikes, or at least 2 forms of hazard. Because there's no real way to OHKO this from full with a special attacker outside of like, I really can't think of anything other than like Scarf Dewpider. You're gonna be able to get like something up at least. And because we'll start with the hazard lead because it's the most like commonly used for Dwebble. But the idea is that you have weak armor, so on a Volby knockoff or whatnot, or whatever, you can just set up your first hazard and then your second hazard and whatnot. So you can just keep on stacking, especially with something like Nianfu Gone from the tier. You're going to be able to get more hazards up, and also because Staryu is no longer in the tier, hazards are more likely to stay. I have not experimented with hazard lead HO in this meta yet, and I probably should because I think it'd be very good. But the idea is that you get up hazards, and then you have knockoff and rock blast as your only 2 moves, but that's just going to be able to cripple whatever is in front of you. So sometimes you just want to get up your stealth rock, and you don't even need your second spike, but you rather get the greed from the knockoff from the mon in front of you. So it's variant on what you're playing, like the match, but I do think it's a very good setter right now for HO. And the other use right now for the Dwebble is a Shell Smasher. Now, I have not seen this put into effect, and I have not seen it really been used. I don't think a single person used it this SPL, but the idea is that you Shell Smash, and then because you have Sturdy, you want to be able to keep rocks off the field, or any sort of hazards off the field. I know Jake said to talk about like possibly running like a Boots Dwebble. Although I don't know how much I feel about it, or how good I feel about it. The idea is that you, even if there are hazards up, since you have heavy-duty boots, you're gonna be able to ignore them and then still set up and then still live any hit you want because of Sturdy. But the thing with the set is you run Shell Smash, Knockoff, Rock Blast, or Stone Edge, and those 3 are like 100% used. You can run X-Scissor, you can run Earthquake. Earthquake is obviously going to be able to hit the Onyx. X-Scissor is just going to be a stab that's just going to be 100% accurate that you might want to throw off. So it's just up to the user. Another issue is that like this mod doesn't get any good ways of dealing with like Timber. So you really need to get rid of Timber or hope they don't have one in order to win with the Dwebble. I don't think it's that good right now, this set. But like if you're running a Shell Smash HO, it could be viable, especially if you pair it with something else that like forces Timber to take damage, like for example like a Shelter. If you're forcing Timber to take damage, then you can try to weaken the Timber and then try to win late game with a Dwebble. So like it's just it's a very niche mon. I don't think it's that great right now, but it could definitely see some usage and it probably could be viable. So yeah, that's going to be Dwebble, and then we're going to move on to our last mon of the day, and we're going to be talking about Farfetch'd. Now, Farfetch'd was recently introduced, or well, the Galar version, Galarian, whatever, version was introduced to Sword and Shield, and it has very different sets, but like the idea behind them are all the same, or most of them at least. But we're gonna group the first three together, and then this last one has like a different reason or like a different variant among it. But the first set is just gonna be it's gonna be Swords Dance and then Close Combat and Knockoff, and then you're gonna be wanting to run 16 speed, so you're outspeeding most Bullbys, and then it just fires off hits. Like your only checks to this are really Spritzy and then Oddish. But with Oddish, you're fearing Brave Bird like almost at all times. And then you can do the similar thing, and you can compare it to Shrugafetch, which is just Shrug set. I know that Jake uses versus Serene, I think, in SPL, but it was Knockoff, Poison Jab, and Close Combat as the 3 attacking moves. You could also run Quick Attack, and you can also definitely run that on SD Fighter. The problem is the other 3 moves are just so good. I just don't know what you would want to drop. But Quick Attack has been seen, especially because that's scrappy, so you don't have to worry about hitting ghosts and whatnot. And then, yeah, so Poison Jab is going to be able to deal with Spritzy. The set is not bad, but it's like more hard-walled by Marini. The other thing it does is because it can just take damage, and opponents can see Calyx, sometimes you can bluff a Scarf with the set because they just took more damage with Bear Juice and you don't have an Eviolite. But you do want to be running Eviolite on stuff like Webs because things can get scary with Poniard. And if you're not running the Eviolite, you could get into trouble if your Farfetch'd gets too low, where it gets into range of a +2 Sucker. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, so those are going to be the main SD sets. And then we have the Scarf Revenge Killing set. You can alternatively run like Defog over the Poison Jab if you like really need like hazard control. I don't know why, but this mod actually has seen like a decreased usage. But it's like still really good. It's really strong and it gets access to close combat with Scrappy. Yeah, as you can see, it hits the 19 attack. It actually OHKOs regular Volby after rocks, which is kind of insane to think about. Like it's like a 93.8 roll or something. But close combat, knock off Brave Bird, same thing as an SD fighter for coverage. And then you have Defog, Poison Jab. And then you can run a quick attack, I guess, if you really wanted. But the idea is just that you're gonna be able to revenge kill everything in the tier. You can also run Adamant. I'm not really sure how much that changes rolls, but this is gonna be able to hit like 22 speed instead of 24. That might make differences in like some shell smashing areas. I don't know really which ones though. Like maybe it could make a difference for some mons at +2, like the Sun, for example. If you're running like 13 speed oddish, who knows? I know that was like a thing earlier on, but yeah. So you're gonna be running Adamant, and it just hits like a truck. And the last set I wanted to talk about for the day is something really cool. I saw it in Ekans, and I actually brought it to one of my Snake games. I don't remember which one. But I just remember it not being, it didn't come out at all, so you didn't get to see it in effect. But the thing that it does is it lures in things like Spritzy, and once Spritzy is lured with Final Gambit, you're able to destroy it. And since Spritzy runs, I think 27 HP, after rocks, it's going to be able to get OHKO'd. And I don't remember if it was 180 or 100 and 156, but I think even after the loss of attack, you're gonna still be able to OHKO Volby after rock. So I remember I'm not 100% sure on the calcs for that, but the idea is that you're moving around the HP and the attack, and even if you lose 1 point of HP, if you cripple Spritzy to that point, it should be okay because you can just like revenge it with like Diglett or like a Trapinch or something. Yeah. But that's the idea there. And as you can see, in order to add to that HP slot, I actually took away speed and I put it at 14. This means I do get outsped by a lot of stuff, but it outspeeds the entire unboosted meta, which is really crucial. It is going to be hitting 21 speed, and that's going to be outspeeding Diglett, and that's just going to be able to outspeed everything in general. So we have the 3 coverage moves, and then Final Gambit as the last, and that's going to be able to lure in Spritzee, and once Spritzee is lured, you can start winning with things like Nasty Plot, Bunnelby, for example, or maybe a different fighter. So it just depends on how you want to play it. I know I saw a set, a game which was like Spike Stack plus Rest Talk, Jangmo, Hakamo, or whichever the LC is, and then plus this Final Gambit Farfetch'D, and you're gonna be able to Final Gambit the Spritzee, and then you're gonna start just like whirling things around with Dragon Tail and whatnot with the Jangmo. But yeah, that's the idea behind Farfetch'd, and I know I've already recorded for a long time, and I only got through like 1/3 of the mons. But what I will do is I will try to get the rest out soon. I know near the end we have like a bunch of like 1-set mons, but yeah, I'll get the next part out soon. But that being said, I hope you guys are going to enjoy the series. Please do let me know in the comments what you want in the future from me and any sort of criticism you have for me. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you for part 2. Peace.